Welcome to another edition of Sideline Sports with Jake, John, and myself. We're joined tonight by Jamey Roots, former president of the Houston Texans, as well as an author and a professor at the University of Houston. Welcome, Jamey.
Hey, JB, good to be with you.
So let's start out with the NFL tonight, guys. I'm going to start with you, Jamey. So being the president of a team previously, what are the teams doing right now in preparation for the draft?
Well, you know, you're finalizing all of your evaluations of the guys. You know, you've got that draft board you've been working on forever and looking to get it solid so that you've got, you know, you have an understanding of the players, you got an understanding of the way the coaches see them, so that that can guide you through the draft process.
Now, I know every organization is different, but do you lean more towards the coaches, the scouts, or towards the GM when you were making your decisions?
Well, it's usually a collaborative approach, and I'd also throw in ownership. You know, ownership, the GM, the coaches, you know, the relevant coaches for whatever the position might be that you're evaluating, and trying to mix that all together. So, because I mean, at the end of the day, you don't want to, you can't have players that don't fit the scheme and the ideas that the coaching staff has. So it's really a collaborative process.
And, you know, when you're actually – Jake.
No, I was just going to say, you know, we're talking about the draft, right? And this has been a wild year plus now with COVID. And I want to ask you about what was it like – you know, you tell us about what it was like on normal times, but what has it been like, or what was it like, rather, with COVID trying to prepare? Like, how is that different than the normal?
It was really surreal. I mean, the preparation, you know, because of when COVID hit, I mean, you had a lot of the hay in the barn, right, in terms of your evaluations of the players, and you've been able to do that in a live format. But when it came to draft night, I mean, you had the coach at his house, which was weird. I would walk by to visit, make sure that things were going well, and Comcast had a bunch of trucks out there to make sure that his Wi-Fi wouldn't fail. But it was great for the fans. I mean, that really was the coming back of sports was the NFL draft, and the engagement was remarkable. You know, people watching all 3 days. Then came the really difficult part, which was the off-season program, OTAs, having to do so many things virtual. And but they powered through it. And then when we got back to the facility, it was really a Herculean task to get the building ready for the guys to be able to come together and train. And the NFL had just a really strict standards, because we really were committed to get the season done on time, and really proud of the teams and the league and the leadership of Roger to make sure that we could make that a reality for the fans.
Now, I want you to take us through what it's like on draft night. So when as a president, when you go on draft night and you meet up with everybody, what is that like? What is that chaos like, going through all that? And how do you guys make the decision? Because if you want something else and the owner wants something and the GM wants something, how do you make that decision? Who makes that final say if you're all wanting something different?
Yeah, well, everybody does it differently, and we've had different regimes at the Texans where it's done differently. You know, my focus actually on draft night is our fans, you know, who are coming and being part of this experience and getting back with us once again. But you know, you just try to come to a conclusion that everybody can work with. But you know, certain times a GM, you know, who is ultimately responsible for the personnel, might have to make a call that's contrary to what the attitude is in the room, and that happens. And you move forward and hope for the best. And you never know for a couple of years. You know, you never know whether, you know, how good a draft is until a couple of years go by and you see how the players emerge. And the first year, you know, the improvement that you see from year one to year two is really remarkable. And then some guys fall by the wayside. And then there's also, you know, that final round of you know, the undrafteds, right? And that's a lot of, you know, the scouts do a lot of work. The GM's involved as well, but they build the relationships with players that they think can make a difference and probably won't get drafted. So there's a lot of work that goes on even after the draft.
So in regards to a first round pick, how early do you contact them to tell them that you're going to select them? Say you have the 4th overall pick. How early do you tell them? Do you tell them a couple days in advance, like, hey, we're going to select you, or do you tell them the night of? How does that work? Does someone already know?
Yeah, everybody does it differently, but I think you've got to see how the picks actually fall. Because sometimes there are surprises, and the first overall selection, of course, you can. In fact, I think back to when we drafted Mario Williams, number 1 in the draft. I mean, we'd already lined everything up before the draft happened, and then it leaks out, and ESPN's talking about it, and our fans are saying Mario who, and when they wanted either Vince Young or Reggie Bush. So anyway, everybody approaches it a little differently, but after the first selection really is the only one that can be guaranteed.
JB, I think you had another question before, so if you want to go back to that.
So throughout your years as being the president, what was your biggest draft? Like, what is it like in the war room while the draft's going on?
But the war, and to be clear, the GM and the coach and the owner are the ones who are on the on point for the personnel. But I can tell you from an eyewitness account, I mean, it's you could hear a pin drop. There's not a lot of chatter. It's kind of eerie. So everybody, those are really important decisions, and so there's not a lot of distractions in the room.
So we talk about players, GMs. So one of the, I would say, weirder scenarios in the past few years was having your head coach also be the GM at the same time. What was it like having Bill O'Brien not only be your head coach, but also the GM all at once? Like, what was it like working with him as that?
Well, that's a lot of responsibility on one person. And Jack Easterby worked closely with him to coordinate things. And the season turned out the way that it did. So I guess if you can only judge by results, it probably wasn't a great idea. But it could have gone differently, and if it did, we'd be looking like geniuses. But anyway, you just deal with the facts in a case at the time and try to make the best decision that you can for the organization. And if it's not working, you got to move on. Yeah.
So one more thing about Bill O'Brien. I have to ask about that trade. When you traded DeAndre Hopkins, I've got to ask. I don't know if you had any say in it. I tend to think you probably didn't. Just what was that situation like? Because I know you talk a lot about the fans. I know fans were not happy. So just walk us through when you guys traded DeAndre Hopkins, what was the general feeling really?
Well, if you've ever listened to Bill O'Brien or been around him, I mean, it's all about the team, and he's trying to always make the best decisions for the good of the team. So I'm not sure what the calculus was on it. I do agree with you from a fan perspective. It was not a popular decision. But as you work on the business side, like I do, you just got to play the cards that are dealt to you. And so when that happened, we started focusing on, other players and reasons why the team can be successful. And, the season didn't work out, but that's the great thing about the National Football League. I mean, the NFL is like the greatest reality TV show ever. It's better than Survivor and Bachelor and all this, because you go through that show and everybody but one is gone and you never see them again. Well, in the NFL, there's only one team that wins the championship, but we all come back again late July, August, and everybody's even again. Everybody's 0-0. Then you go out and try to get a championship, and unfortunately, there's only one team that wins it, so everybody else goes home disappointed. But that's what makes it fun. It's a great reality TV show.
So now this year coming up, they added the 17th game. How is that going to affect, the front office as well as the players? What do you see it doing to the season?
Well, I think again, we talked about the fans earlier. I think it's great for the fans. We've always done well in preseason, but to replace a preseason game with a regular season game is a no-brainer, right? I mean, because the regular season is just so amazing. It's gonna be an adjustment. I don't think anybody knows exactly what to expect. You kind of play it by ear, but after a season or two, I think it'll just feel like the norm. I mean, the only thing that's ever been constant in the National Football League is change. I mean, you look back a long time ago, the number of preseason games we played and the amount of time we spent in training camp, and we've evolved, and I think this is good for the players. It's gonna increase the pot for us to be able to increase the salary cap, and I think it's great for the fans. And people miss football so much. To get one more of them in is a blessing.
I got one last question before you, and I know John will have plenty to talk about. I know you want to talk about your book, John. I know you'll talk about that. But before we transition from that to that, or from the NFL to the book, one more question about the NFL, which is, what was your proudest moment as president of the Texans? You were there for over 2 decades, so you spent a lot of your life with that organization. What was your personal proudest moment, whether it was something you did or the organization did, whatever it may be?
Well, we had a good base of support for the first few years, kind of the launching years. But the year that we went to the playoffs for the first time was really remarkable. Our fan base must have grown by 50% in a month. And the game that we played to win it in Cincinnati, had the ball deep in our own end, a little over a minute remaining, drove down, scored at the final whistle. I mean, that was really amazing. It felt like kind of a crowning achievement. Now, the final crowning achievement would have been the winning a championship, but that was great. That took us to a new level. And another exciting time, we played our first ever game. We played the Dallas Cowboys, and nobody gave us a chance. It was, we opened at NRG Stadium. We'd spent 2.5 years building the team, and it was such a shame that it was going to have to end that night. And we wind up winning. I mean, that was pretty remarkable. So there were lots of highs throughout, many more highs than there were lows.
Yeah, I actually have one more question about the NFL. I know Jake said he's. So my question is, how's this going to work with some teams not wanting to do these voluntary workouts? Some teams want to. It sounds like the Denver Broncos are trying to bypass the voluntary workouts. How does that affect the team whenever it comes to the physicality of football and things like that, when you avoid these type of things that a lot of players end up doing because they like to do things as a team? How does that affect the team overall when it comes to preparing for the season, when you skip these voluntary workouts?
Well, everybody's got to make the decision that they think's in the best interest of the preparation of their team and their players. And so they wouldn't choose a route if they didn't think it was the right thing to get all the guys through the season, through the playoffs. You make a call, and they're relying more and more on sports science to try to make it more precise in how we're preparing players. So if somebody decides to go a certain route, they must feel like that's the right way to get it done.
John, I think you have more questions. I know you.
No, that's all I got in regards to the NFL. So let's talk about your book.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your book. So, how did this come about? How did the idea of the book come about? Where did it start?
The book's called The Winning Game Plan, and it's out on Amazon, and in fact on Audible. The audio version is out now. And actually, I was at an NFL owners meeting, and one of the executives there that I'd known for years, he said, "Jamey, you guys have had good seasons and bad seasons, just like all of us. But I see the business metrics. You guys are always at or near the top. How did that happen?" And I didn't really have a good answer for him. And I'd thought about writing a book for a while, and so I was like, you know what? I really need to put this down on paper to codify the things that I believe that have led to consistent business success over a long period of time, and been able to decouple the wins and losses from the business performance. And so that's what it is. It's a leadership book. As you mentioned, I'm at the University of Houston teaching leadership. So the principles apply broadly to any type of organization, because NFL business, a football team business is just like any other business in terms of the leadership principles that generate success.
Is there another book potentially in the works in the future?
No, I did this one. I got it out of my system, but it's been, it's gotten great response. So that's been really gratifying. And, I'm more of a operator than I am an author or a lecturer or anything like anything of that nature. And so I would imagine here at some point in time, I'll be back operating a team.
Well, you took my next question. I was going to just ask you.
I was just about to ask the same thing.
I think we were all reading each other's minds all at once, because I was just about to say, Jamey, do you see yourself with another team in the future? And JB was thinking it. John, you were thinking it.
And I was thinking it. So I went ahead and answered it for you.
So in regards, if you do take a job and say you're in Houston, say it's far away, like New York or somewhere far away from Houston, is that okay family wise? How does that work with you having a family and everything? Is that difficult? How's that process work?
That would be difficult, but I mean, we've got so many opportunities to do things virtually now. It's probably easier now than it would have been, a year or two ago. And, it's not a bad thing in the near term to be able to be completely dialed into what you're doing. My daughter, she graduates in about a year from high school. And so we'll be empty nesters. So we could I could envision staging a near-term commute and then long-term a relocation.
So what's your dream job with what organization? Any that come to mind, or if you don't want to let that out of the hat?
I think it's not really the organization. The biggest decision I think you have to make is on ownership. If you have great ownership, your life's good day after day in sports. And if you don't, and I've been blessed to only have two owners that I've worked for in sports, Lamar Hunt and Bob McNair and the McNair family. And they're both spectacular owners. They have high expectations, but they give you the resources you need to be successful. And if you're in an environment like that, I'm not sure I really care what the logo is on the uniform.
And then one other question about ownership. A lot of people are down on Jerry Jones. He gets a bad rap. But, I think he's kind of done so much more for the game that he doesn't get credit for with the LA deal and a bunch of other things. What's your opinion of what Jerry's done?
Jerry's a game changer. I mean, he's a brilliant guy. He's a hard charger. He doesn't accept the status quo. He's not afraid to raise issues that need to be talked about. That room is a very collegial room. And sometimes you need somebody to stir the pot, and Jerry has no problem doing that.
No, I agree. I think he doesn't get enough credit for the impact he's had. A lot of people villainize him. And being a Giant fan, not a huge fan of Jerry Jones, but the guy does amazing things, and he's taken the NFL, and done a lot of things to make it get better, which I'm impressed by. The LA deal, I think, was huge. For the sport. A
number of his ideas have created tremendous value for all of the owners, and so I think he's a mover.
No, definitely. John, do you have any other questions?
Yeah. So when you go out and play some golf, what do you shoot when you go 18 holes? I know you're a golfer. I know it. I've seen your post.
I shoot between 90 and 100. Sometimes I can get into the 80s occasionally. But golf, I love golf. It just doesn't love me back.
Same here. I'm not great at it, but I love it. It's one of the most relaxing things.
Yeah, John, you always do it at beautiful places, and you're with your friends, and the weather's usually nice, so there's a lot to like about it.
I got to tip my hat to John, because you are asking the most important, deep-hitting, hard-hitting questions, and I love it.
I'm 30 years old, but I absolutely love golf, and I can see myself, when I can't do any other sport anymore, like softball or anything like that. I can see myself golfing and fishing. In my retirement, nothing but golfing and fishing. That'd be the best retirement I could have.
What do you shoot? John, what do you shoot?
It's been a long time since I went. I have two kids now. One is she's 2.5, and the other one is 5 months. So I don't get a chance to golf. I work 6 days out of the week, so I don't get a chance to golf. But I would love an opportunity to go eventually whenever I have like some sort of window when the kids maybe are asleep or something. Go out for a couple hours and. But it's been a long time since I got to go golfing. But I want to go again because I have all my clubs and everything. I just got to find time to get out there.
Well, you can just wait till they're.
I don't know what I shoot. Not sure.
Wait till they're teens. They won't want you around anymore.
Yeah. I'm sure. I have a daughter, so she's 2.5. So I'm sure that's coming, soon enough.
There you go.
Any other questions, guys? I don't have anything personally.
No.
Awesome.
All right. Well,
hey, it's been great being with you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you. We really appreciate you being here.
All right.
Have a good one, Jamey.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
I'm speechless. That was, I got to say, look, this is, any fans watching, this is a very candid moment for me. That was so cool. We've done a lot of cool things as a show. We've talked to some great players, but that may be one of my favorite things we've ever done. And this is me breaking my persona, if you will, being confident on the show. I'm geeking out. I love that. That was so incredible.
Any golfs,
I love
golf. So that's great. I mean, that inspires me to try and find time to go out and, shoot 18 holes. It won't be pretty, but I just want to shoot 18 holes.
I may have to join you on that. It won't be pretty either, but we can both suck together.
I have a whole bag. I have a whole bag of clubs.
I'm right there with you.
Go.
We're going to have the Sideline Sports Pro-Am.
I agree.
There's plenty of golf courses around here. There's like 10 around here. So
we'll call it the SSPA, Sideline Sports Pro-Am. There you go.
I love it.
Hey, by the way,
first annual
golf talk. I don't know if you guys saw on Twitter. The guy that used to play Happy Gilmore's caddy in the movie Happy Gilmore, Adam Sandler posted a tweet about how I guess this guy's an actual golfer now on the PGA Tour. So Adam Sandler posted him. Yeah, so Adam Sandler posted a tweet about it, and then this guy replied, and he's like, "Mr. Gilmore, I'll be your caddy anytime you want. You just let me know." And I was like, "This is the content I'm here for on Twitter. This is the good stuff." The replies between him and he looks so much. He looks the same, but he looks so much different now than he did in the movie, and it's crazy.
Wow.
It was really cool to see though. It brought Happy Gilmore back. Childhood memories.
Let's try to talk about golf. Did anybody watch any of the Masters this weekend?
I'll be honest, I didn't.
Look,
I know what happened, but I didn't watch.
Matsuyama did just enough to hold off the win. He tried to give it up, though. He got lucky, played a great 3.5 rounds, and then he just tried to give it back. And luckily, he was so far ahead it didn't happen. But, watching that at the end, I mean, he had to be feeling the pressure. I'm glad for him. I've always liked him. I've done the DraftKings golf, so I know a little bit about him. He's always a decent player. But it was fun to watch him win. I wanted to see DeChambeau win. That's who I thought was going to win. A lot of people were on speed. It wasn't meant to be. But Matsuyama really had a great weekend.
I got invited to do over an app, do a Masters tournament. Calling the tournament, but you have to have an iPhone for it. I don't have an iPhone, so I couldn't do it. But I would have. It would have been really cool to do it. I just don't have an iPhone.
iPhone, John, iPhone.
I know I should have asked to borrow see if you have an extra, but that would have been cool to call the Masters through this app, through this social media type of app. It was a call the Masters type of tournament. You win a bunch of stuff if the fans vote you the best and stuff. So I love golf. I'm not a big watcher of it, but I love playing it. I think it's everybody should do it, man.
I'm horrible at it.
I'm horrible.
Too.
I love it. I love it.
Right.
I'm horrible.
My crowning moment. The one time I was on par 4 and I hit it right on the edge of the green. I guess it's a fairway. It's right outside the edge of the green. On a par 4, I almost got it on the green in one shot, which was pretty impressive. That was my only crowning achievement. Other than that, it's terrible.
I don't have any crowning achievements, which is almost a crowning achievement in and of itself, but also a huge fail at the same time.
I'm going to date myself. You guys ever see The Honeymooners with Ralph Cramden?
Yes,
Yes.
With the golf
Even
thing?
though I'm young, I've seen it.
I've seen
All
the
right, so I'm
honeymoon.
dating myself, but that was, good golf stuff. Classic. But yeah, I'm pretty bad at that, the whole sport. I'd love to learn it. You would think if you could play baseball, you could play golf.
You'd think.
I should get into
No.
watching golf. That's what I should get into. I should get into watching golf. Really embrace it. I should.
The
I don't
Masters
have
this
cable,
weekend
but I
was
should.
really good. I have
The
to say,
only
I'm not a
thing-
huge watcher,
I grew up
but
a Sergio Garcia fan, but I no longer have a favorite golfer. So
The only thing I can tell you about this year's Masters, besides who won, all I know is he was the first Asian, I think, first Asian-born player to win the Masters. So good
that's
for him.
awesome. That's awesome.
That was the only thing I could tell you besides who won. That was like the only thing I knew besides that. I admit I watched almost none of it. I know he was Japanese, and I know he was the first Asian-born player to win the Masters. Besides that, I know nothing.
well, although DraftKings doesn't sponsor us yet, I want to thank them for my interest in golf because their weekly tournaments made me follow golf. So I actually knew who a lot of the
Hi.
people were.
Good for you.
We got a shout out from Debbie Katsenis. Hey, Debbie, how's it going? Just wanted to give her a shout out. She said hello. So, we're a nice show. We give shout outs
The Honeymooner Show. Hello, Bull. All right.
All right. So I think that's enough about the Masters. We got to go talk about the NFL first, just because, yes, we had Jamey on, and I know that took up a lot of talk for the NFL, but there are still things going on in the NFL because this is the league that never stops. Every other sports, it slows down. It has their off seasons. It gets no. NFL decides it's never stopping because this week, if there wasn't enough NFL news, another big thing comes out. Julian Edelman retires. So
Tony,
I know.
you already know my answer to the
I'm
question.
going to ask it, and I think all three of us will be on the exact same page, but it has to be asked, is Julian Edelman a Hall of Famer?
No.
I'm going to
No.
start with JB. John, I'm skipping you just because I know you know your answer already. I want to hear JB first.
Yeah, I'm going to say no. I don't believe so. He was a slot receiver that did a lot of important things, bailed Brady out many times, but does he look like a Hall of Famer to you? Anything that he's done in his career, scream out Hall of Famer, T.O. Hall of Famer. Jerry
Oh
Rice,
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
greatest
oh
of
yeah.
all time,
Absolutely.
But what has Edelman ever done that
Yeah.
makes you say Hall of Fame? You know?
Deion
No, I agree.
Deion Branch has more yards and touchdowns in his career than Julian Edelman. There you go. Deion Branch isn't even close to a Hall of Famer. There you go.
Yeah,
Both Super
I
Bowl
mean-
MVPs, both multiple time Super Bowl winners. Not even close. You
So
would never
I-
put Deion Branch in the
I-
conversation.
I know we all agree that he's not a Hall of Famer, so we don't need to harp on it. Look, I will say this. He's not a Hall of Famer, but I will say that I think, and I think you may agree with this, he should go down as one of the greatest Patriots receivers of all time. And I'm going to tell you, I have an argument for why. If you don't agree with me, I have a legitimate reason why. Was he producing on the field as great as other receivers? Absolutely not. I guarantee you that, guys that have played for the Patriots, maybe like Randy Moss, even though it wasn't for as long as Edelman, Randy Moss, as just his career, obviously you could say, well, if we're just talking about guys that played for them, he's the greatest of all time. But I think the main reason that you've got to say he was one of the most clutch receivers for them in the Brady the Brady era. That was, to me, that was one of the reasons that I think makes him so vital to the Pats organization. He helped secure 2 championships when you think about it. He had the go-ahead touchdown against the Seahawks, and he had that one of the most incredible catches I've ever seen. That's coming from a Giants fan.
That was
who
luck.
absolutely.
That was a lot of luck against the Falcons.
It
That was
doesn't
a lot
matter.
of luck.
It doesn't matter. It still goes down as one of the greatest catches of all time. And again, I'm saying that as a Giants fan who still thinks, and I will argue to the day I die, that the Tyree helmet catch may be the greatest catch of all
It
time.
is. It's the greatest catch.
But
You
that's
beat
what
the 17-0 Patriots.
Right, but coming from me, that's
That's
what
it.
I mean. To say that it is one of the greatest catches of all time, I mean, I think that speaks a lot as a Giants fan who hates the Pats, who never wanted them to ever succeed, right? I've always been vocal about that. But Edelman is one of those guys that his name will never go down in Canton, but Pats fans will never forget him because he's not only a 3-time champion, but he was Brady's guy. I mean, he was his go-to guy for years. And I know he's not a Hall of Famer, but I still think we have to say, look, this guy was a great receiver. I understand he was a slot receiver, and the numbers didn't show what he did on the field.
I like Wes Welker better, personally. I personally like Welker better.
At least Welker wasn't on PEDs.
Yeah, that's true. He never got popped for PEDs.
Yeah.
You know, and he didn't get cut at the end of his career, I don't believe.
Mm-mm. And Wes Welker was once a Dolphin, and we traded him to the Patriots, I believe, for a 7th-round pick.
He was also once a Jet.
Yes.
But he started, I believe, with the Chargers, and then we picked him up. He was on a practice squad, and the Patriots traded for him for like a 7th-rounder, and then he turned into, old reliable for Tom Brady. I was like, dang, like, look what we gave him for nothing.
Yeah.
It happens.
Look, yeah, you don't know what a player's going to be. It happens. But look, I'm sad to see Julian Edelman retire for just a little bit, just because he is a fun face. He's a fun face on the field. He brought a lot of energy. And even though I don't like the Patriots, he was a great leader, and he brought a lot of energy to that team. That's all it was. But I appreciated that. That's all.
It's not a fun face. It's a something face, but it's not a fun face.
What kind of face would you call it, John?
It's a punchable face. That's what it is.
Wow.
What? John, you're
promoting
I'm not promoting. I'm just saying that's one of those faces that you're like.
The NFL.
That's what it is. You look at it and you're like, that's a face that, that's a punchable face. Some people have a punchable face. Some people don't. Brett Gardner has that.
Face.
Brett Gardner.
You watch yourself, John.
Brett Gardner has a punchable face.
Brett Gardner has that. You look at Brett Gardner and you're like.
This is your task for next week, John. I want the 5 best punchable faces in sports.
Bingo. I already have a list. I'll give it to you next week, though. I already have that. That list is already made up. I've created that list a long time ago.
John, on a scale of 1 to 10, Brad Marchand, how punchable is his face?
Oh, easily 10. Easily.
Okay. I'm glad we agree on that.
Milan Lucic, 10. Easily.
I agree. I'm going to pull this up for anybody that doesn't.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, he asked 1 to 10. Nomar Garcia-Parra, 9.
I'm sharing my screen real quick.
Nomar Garcia-Parra is like a 9. Not perfect, but he's almost there.
Really? Because
I got to share my screen real quick.
Yeah, you look at Garcia-Parra and you're like, okay, I can see that. Yep, there you go.
That's Brad Marchand.
For
anybody that doesn't know, I don't promote violence. I will never condone
nobody's
violence.
Promoting violence. We're just saying, hypothetically.
But this man looks like a rat, and he's got the most punchable face I have ever seen. And that's all I want to say. I'm done.
He really does look like a rat. You're right. He looks like the guy in school. He looks like the guy that you work with or in school that, you say something to your buddy and then this guy overhears it and he goes and tells the teacher and goes and tells the boss and you get in trouble. Right? That's what he looks like.
Wow.
Look, again, I'm not condoning violence, but I just had to say, because you want to talk about a punchable face, that was it. That's a
good point.
That's my go-to.
Anyway, he makes the Hall of Fame of punchable faces. He would go in there.
He's number 1, first ballot.
He'd be in the Hall of Fame.
Unanimous.
Yeah.
John, that's your new segment every week. You are to make the punchable face list.
Just one every week, though. Just bring up one and tell us why.
I can do that.
Because we'll run out of people eventually. We got to.
Oh, I don't run out of people. I have a long list of people that have burned me in sports.
Number 2 on that list, if I'm making that list, Sidney Crosby. Number 2. I cannot stand that man, and everything about him screams, I want to punch you. I'm a Rangers fan, so that's partially biased, but also I can't stand him, and he is such a crybaby that he makes me want to punch him.
Does LeBron have a punchable face then?
No. See, that's the thing. Not all players that you dislike, just because you dislike them doesn't mean they do. Alex
not every
Ovechkin
player
doesn't have a punchable face. He
Not
doesn't.
every player that's a crybaby or I don't like has a punchable face. I'm just saying, on top of already having a punchable face, Sidney Crosby has those qualities that
When you
really
look-
makes me want to punch him.
Sometimes when
I
you
would
just
never,
look
but I
at
would
him
like
and
to.
you just know. You don't decide, you just know. You know what I mean? It's like whenever you find your soulmate and you fall in love, you just know. When you see that punchable face, you just know. You'll know when you see it.
That may be
I don't know,
quote
I've
of the year, gentlemen. Would
I've
you
never
know?
looked at someone that I said, "Wow, they have a punchable face."
And now you will. Now you will.
And I like punching people in the face. I think it's a fun pastime. No, I really don't. I really don't.
This may be one of the best segments we've ever had. John starts off by saying, "It's like when you meet your soulmate. You just know. It's the same thing. You just know they got a punchable face. You know you want to punch them." And JB's over here promoting violence, saying, "Hey, I love punching people in the face."
He's going to go back and he's going to look at Johnny Damon. And Johnny Damon could end up being on JB's list. That's a dark horse right there for JB's
That's a good
list.
one.
Johnny
That's
Damon.
a good one.
He's going to go back and
All
look
right.
at what Johnny Damon did to the Yankees. If you remember, you guys were up 3-0. You blew
Shut up.
that lead, and
Shut up.
they end up coming back. First time ever in MLB history.
All right.
Johnny
All right.
Damon was a big part
I
of that.
got one for you. I got one. I thought about this long and hard.
There you
Last
go.
one.
All right.
Last
Kurt
one.
Schilling.
Kurt Schilling, yes. You know what? That's a good one. It's not
That's a
like a
good one.
10, but I would say I would give him
he's
a
like
7.
a 13.
Really? You would give him a 13.
I give him a
I
13.
wouldn't.
Now, see, I wouldn't have
wouldn't.
given him that during his playing days, but now that he's kind of wacky in his old age, I would say you could boost that up, to a higher than a 7. That's fair. Look, I have a whole system on
7.5.
I have a whole system on how this works. So this has been a thing in my friend circle for years.
We'll talk about this more next week. There's a lot more to get to.
This is great.
NFL.
This is my favorite
NFL
thing
stuff.
ever.
There's a lot to get to. John, punchable faces are fun to talk about, but we can't talk about it for the whole episode.
This show went completely off the rails.
It started great.
It was great with the interview. Now we've just completely lost it. Anyway,
we kept our composure for so long. We could only hold it for so long.
We got to move on and talk about a team that has really impressed me this offseason. Arizona Cardinals, baby. They're signing James Conner. Now, I know we have our opinions about it, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But before we get there,
I think he just got hurt. Probably just rolled his ankle, according to this
Wow.
report I got.
all I'm going to say is I applaud the Arizona Cardinals for going out and trying to build a better team. I'm not saying that their signings have been perfect. I'm not going to say that because I actually have an opinion about James Conner and that signing. However, I have to say I really respect what they've done because they've made some great moves and they've worked really hard. I mean, they're bulking up the defense. They're now bulking up the offense. I have a lot of respect for them. However, I don't like this signing, and I know you don't either, John. John, I want to start with you this time, though. Tell me why you don't like it. I'll get to me last. Why don't you like it, John?
I guess it's not terrible if he's going to be your backup and he's going to 25% of the touches out of the backfield, maybe 40%, but I wouldn't give him any more than that. To me, he's not a guy that you can rely on. I mean, we saw in Pittsburgh once Bell left. When Bell was there and then Bell sat out, Connor filled in nicely for a year, but he still got hurt. But when he became the guy when Bell left, he was always hurt. He was always hurt in the middle of games. He didn't run the ball consistently well. Some games it was terrible. Some games it was all right. So, I mean, I guess it's all right for being the backup if he's going to be that, but what's he going to be? Do they like Chase Edmonds enough to start Chase Edmonds? Is it going to be split? I can't imagine James Conner just takes it from Edmonds when they love Edmonds. So I guess it depends on what they do, how it goes. I mean, it's a low-risk signing.
So you're opposed to signing another NFL quality running back to bolster
See,
your
that's
roster?
the thing. I'm not exactly sure he's quality because he did a nice job filling in for 1 year when Bell sat out, but then when he actually took the full-time job, he wasn't very good. That's the thing. He wasn't very good.
But
That's
again,
my concern. Is he's
a
an average
quality
running back.
backup, which is a quality backup in the NFL. You don't have 60 stars to play a running back.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If he's a starter, if they sign him to be a starter, I don't like it.
I
But
don't
if
think
he's the
he starts.
backup, it's not terrible.
I don't think he was signed to be a starter, but I think that as a backup, it never hurts to have quality depth.
Yeah.
A guy that, he could
Yeah.
start on a low tier team.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
So that's not bad to have somebody that can start somewhere else as your backup, especially if they're willing to take that role. And that's going to make your starter when you go into camp work that much harder. So that's a good thing. I mean, would I sit there and say, okay, signing him is going to get you to the Super Bowl? No, but it's a good move. You want to have depth at that position.
So my only issue is this, and I don't know if this is true, but I don't know that James Conner, Chase Edmonds is really enough to be the starter. He always felt like, to me, when I watched the Cardinals, that change of pace, but he's not your starter. And so my big issue is James Conner is probably coming in expected to be the starter. And I think a compliment, having Chase Edmonds as a compliment is great. He's awesome at that. And even if you do a 50-50 split, he's still a compliment, if you will, to whoever the starting back is. And he's great at that. He's good at changing pace. But I don't know that he's a starter. And we just said James Conner's not a starter. So
like JB said, it's probably going to be like some sort of like he's the backup, they split, but it's going to hurt for fantasy purposes. I mean, if you look at that backfield, it's going to hurt.
Who do you name the starter at that point? Because I don't trust either one too much as a starter on my team. So who's the starter and who's the backup?
And you know what? I can't worry about fantasy purposes when I'm running an NFL team. I worry about winning games. And
I'm just saying, looking at it from all angles, looking at it from a fantasy football perspective, that's going to suck because a lot of people like Chase Edmonds, I'm sure, without Kenyon Drake. And now that kind of kills his value because it's going to be – it doesn't really matter, I guess, who starts because they're probably just going to, rotate them. And it's not going to be where one consistently – there's not going to be a bell cow. It's going to be they just rotate them hot hand, things like that.
There's very few teams that have that nowadays.
Yeah. But I mean, with those, but neither of those guys are reliable. You know what I mean? They're both, like Jake said, they're both guys that were backups.
That's what I'm worried about.
Change of pace guys.
But also you have to remember they have Kyler Murray, which is also like having a running back, as a quarterback. So you can do a lot more with that type of offense. So I think it's a good move. I mean, is it the move that's going to get them over the hump? No, but it's a good move.
What I will say is this. The amount that they signed him for and the length of the contract, they have got incredible value. That was what I will applaud them. They signed him to a 1-year deal, fully guaranteed, only $1.25 million on the contract, including a $500,000 signing bonus. So they got him for just a hair over $1 million, and he's a good back. He's just not a great starter. But you make him as a 1-2 punch, he'll be fantastic.
For $1 million, I mean.
Right, but he'll be fantastic as a 1-2 guy as opposed to being the one guy. If he's splitting like we anticipate, I think it's fantastic value because you get a bruiser in Conner, even though, yes, he gets hurt. That's his build. That's what he is known to be as a back, right? He's your big physical back. And then you got a guy like Chase Edmonds, who's a fantastic pass catching down and change of pace back. You got really great value with James Conner. So while I don't love it because I'm a little worried about they don't really have a starter, so that gives me a little bit of pause and concern, I do applaud them for the money that they're giving him, the contract itself. I mean, that's perfect. You couldn't ask for a better contract.
My worry is they don't if we're talking Cardinals, you don't really have a guy that if you want to drive where you're going to run the ball 7 times and pass it only 3, you really don't have that guy.
Right.
And that's hard because sometimes you want that in a drive because you don't always want to be passing. You saw what happened with Murray.
You don't want to become predictable.
Yeah, he gets banged up. He's smaller. He gets hit a lot. So you want guys in the backfield that can kind of take the load off. they don't really have that in either guy that you could just ride for a whole drive or ride for
Absolutely.
most of a drive. So that's my concern out of that backfield is you don't really have that bell cow type of guy.
I completely agree.
Can we get back to the punchable face for a second, though?
Hold
Eli
on.
Manning.
But
Yeah, please.
I knew that was coming.
Eli
And the
I'm
problem
always
is you're
for
right.
punchable face talk. Like I said, we're not promoting violence. It's just hypothetical fun. Give me your next punchable face. I'm all for
Eli
it.
Manning.
No, I wouldn't give Eli. I mean, that's
Really?
it's like a
Did you bring up
dopey
a picture of
face.
Eli Manning?
You guys
Hold
me
on.
Eli
I
Manning.
got
a
a picture.
dopey face.
No, John, just hold on. I have a picture
Is that
that
where?
was
Okay.
specifically looked for because of when JB brought this up. This is what I was thinking. This picture.
Which one?
Which
I'm
one?
sorry.
There's a lot.
On the right.
On the
Here,
right,
I'll
the
zoom
Eli
in.
Manning face. See,
This.
now
I'm sorry. Go
see,
look
I can't say
all the way to the
yes to that
all
only
the way to the
because
right.
I feel terrible. I would feel terrible almost for that because I'm like, oh man, like now I feel
But John,
guilty. Like
look
that's
at
like
this.
punching.
John.
That's like punching the kid. That's like punching like the nerdy kid in class in the face, and then
John.
you
John.
feel guilty about it.
I'm a Giants
Clay
fan.
Matthews.
Okay.
No, I can't agree with Clay
John,
Matthews.
I love Eli Manning. He is one of my favorite players of all time as a Giants fan in my life. This face on the right here, I'm sorry, it does not. Brad
See,
Marchand
I can't
is one of the
agree with
only
that.
people that's more punchable than that face.
The only reason
That's
I
coming from
can't
a
agree
Giants
is
fan.
because, like I said, that's the kid in band class that comes out of band class, and you're like, you don't want to punch that kid. Like,
Wow.
John,
you're bad punching that
okay,
kid. You don't
but
want to
John,
do that.
in school, who got punched the most usually?
No, I'm
As
saying you
sad as it
don't
is,
want to.
the
You
band
feel,
kid.
I would feel guilty. I'd be like, oh man, now I punched a kid
But the
with
bully
glasses.
always beat
Man.
up on the band kid. That's
No,
if that's what you're saying.
But I would feel bad about it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Doesn't mean okay. I'd
now I
feel
look
bad
at
about
Brad Marchand and I'm like, in
Yeah,
my
but John,
hypothetical scenario, you give him a punchable face. I wouldn't feel bad about
John,
that.
I'd feel bad about punching anybody. I don't condone violence. I'd feel bad about
Well,
punching
nobody's
anybody.
condoning it. This is just it's all hypothetical.
I think I can count on my hands how many people I punched in the face. I don't really condone it, but I got to
No, of
say, Eli
course.
Manning, as a Giant fan, has a punchable face.
You're right.
And I love Eli.
All right.
Well, let's get off that topic. I'm sorry.
Anyway, back
Off the
to
rails.
the Cardinals. John, you brought up fantasy value, and I had to bring this up. This was one of my favorite tweets all day that I saw about the Cardinals. A lot of the tweets were, hey, here's what's going on, the news. Matthew Berry, one of my favorite people to watch for fantasy. I love what they do at ESPN. I love him, Field Yates. I think their show is great. I've always appreciated it. They're fun to watch. I appreciate them.
Yep.
Matthew Berry is one of my favorite people in fantasy. His tweet summed up every fantasy owner and how they felt. Chase Edmonds, fantasy RB1. That was the first sentence. March 21 to April 2021, period, RIP. Perfectly
I knew
sums
where
up.
that was going.
Perfectly sums up, though, exactly what you talked about for fantasy value. I'm sorry for Chase Edmonds and anybody that had high hopes, because I had high hopes. He's a great running back in terms of fantasy value.
And the crappy thing is, this hurts because there's not that much out there for running backs.
There's nothing.
We saw that last year.
It's
going to be as much of the same. It's going to be much of the same this year. And now you take away the Cardinals' backfield. And take away Chase Edmonds, because Kenyon Drake was a guy that was high on a lot of people's list last year.
John, you take away two guys, because not only you take away Chase Edmonds, right? Even though we don't love James Conner, fantasy value, it's still a high-end guy.
So then I guess I got to ask, what do the Steelers do? Do the Steelers go out and get a running back to replace James Conner? Do they get a Najee Harris, a Travis Etienne, a guy like that?
I don't even know who's available anymore. That's the problem. There's not – in terms of running backs, there's not a lot.
In the draft.
No, they might have to, but I'm just saying.
Because if you get a Travis Etienne or you get a Najee Harris, that's a pretty good – that adds another running back to the fold in fantasy football that could be viable. Because the Steelers' offense, when you add any player, there's a chance for them to become viable because they typically have good offenses throughout the years in Pittsburgh. That fantasy-wise, they typically give you good opportunities at fantasy. So if a running back like that lands there, that puts another running back on the fantasy boards. But you're right. Right now, it's bone dry. It's worse than it was last year.
I look at who's available. They got Kalen Ballage, so
Ugh. Ew.
no. So here's what I'll say.
That's terrible.
I saw what he did in LA last year. He's good, but not as a starter. When he was a starter, he was good, but he wasn't the only guy. So he is a good first half of having a potential shared backfield, but they need someone else. And the problem is there's nobody. I mean, Todd Gurley, and I say it like that because as Todd Gurley was 3 years ago, you'd be crazy not to pick him up. Now he's got knees, like an old man. I mean, he's got knees probably worse. He's got knees probably worse than my 70-plus-year-old grandmother. They're terrible.
His career is gone downhill.
So you can't get a guy like him, even if you want him, and you're left with not a lot. I mean, I look at the list. The big names are Adrian Peterson, Frank Gore, LaShawn McCoy, all old. Absolutely not. Le'Veon Bell, again, old. No way. You crazy. You're wasting your money.
Back to Pittsburgh. I mean,
But he's not good anymore.
Not?
So we don't
know that. That's the thing.
Yeah,
we don't know that. He didn't play in Kansas City. He didn't really play in Kansas City. The game plan wasn't around
New York.
him.
I know New York is hard to judge, but at the same time,
that's hard to judge. That
but he's not what he used to be. So the point is, you look down the list and there's nothing. So
Pittsburgh, why not take a chance on him again?
I don't think so. But
what else is there?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think a guy like Najee Harris is a great pick. I think it's almost their only option if they want to have a run game.
Mm-hmm. They still have to fix that offensive line. They still have to fix the line. But a running back would be perfect.
If anybody from the Pittsburgh Steelers organization is listening, here's my advice. Start rebuilding. I don't want to hear, but we had a great season last year or a great regular season. I don't want to hear it. Your defense is fine, but your offense is garbage. It's hot garbage. It's not good.
Is this a year they draft somebody to replace Ben Roethlisberger? Not play.
I don't think so.
But eventually,
I don't think so. The problem is, I don't think they will because they're so stubborn. I wish they would, but I don't think they will because they're so stubborn. That's my worry.
They're very methodical. They're like
they are.
Yeah.
Those are the two teams that do everything very slow, not high risk taking, and they do everything by the book, and they've had a lot of success. So you can't really,
I know,
fault them, but it's time to rebuild.
Yeah. So I hope that this is the year that they start to rebuild. I'd love that for them because they have a great defense that if they just get a serviceable quarterback, a guy that can be, I don't want to say just a game manager because you need a little more than that nowadays, but a little bit above that, just don't lose the game for us. Play decent. The defense can carry us as long as they're healthy. It's just Big Ben can't be that anymore. He's just not. He's not what he used to be. So you can't
what
do
is
that.
Sean called?
Noodle arm. Old noodle arm. See, I need a T-shirt. I need merchandise. A noodle arm merchandise that we can sell. Like looks like a quarterback. It's like
why haven't you
Brees or Ben Roethlisberger? Huh?
Why haven't you trademarked noodle arm yet, Joe?
I haven't gotten around to it. It's like golfing. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I'll get there. When
potentially $1 million business.
That's a great quote. I have many great quotes on this show that you could sell.
Hall of Fame.
Yes, first ballot, just like the first ballot choke artist, Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones. They're both in there. First ballot Hall of Famers.
Wow.
For being choke artists.
John, I gotta say, I found some funny stuff on the internet because, of course, while we're doing the show, I gotta start looking at these things for you. So I'm gonna share my screen again. There is not a Big Ben noodle arm, but I think we may have found someone. Whoever made this picture We need to contact them.
Oh my God.
Peyton
Oh my
Manning
gosh, that's
noodle arm.
fantastic.
Whoever
Wow.
made this, unbelievable. And I think we need to make one, but just take it and make it Big Ben. I love this.
Wow.
Make
They
it
got the
sure.
little meatballs in there. I mean, come on.
I like
love
that.
Little meatballs. Meatballs that look like meatballs, folks. Meatballs that look like meatballs.
I
Yeah,
love it.
Now I'm curious what all the other noodles are because he only has one arm that's a noodle. So why is there more noodles? And what is with the meatballs? I don't really get the rest of the spaghetti on the
Okay.
ground. Doesn't really make
Spaghetti
sense.
is a noodle.
Right. But why does Peyton
Spaghetti and
Manning
meatball.
have
Okay, John,
a plate
I have
full
a
of
better one.
spaghetti at his feet?
Hold on.
He doesn't have
John.
multiple
Oh.
arms at his feet.
John, I
Look.
got another good one for you. Hold on. Beautiful. Masterpiece.
I think the other one was better, though.
I like the
love
other
it.
one better.
I love them both, though. I think this is, John, you have thrown me down a rabbit hole, and I am now just searching on the internet under noodle arm football. So thank you for this.
That sounds just like a great show. Noodle Arm Football sounds like a great name.
I'm
for the
enjoying
show.
this just so much.
This has
looking
been
at-
this has been a great show. We talked to Jamey Roots. We had we came
The
up with a
punchable face segment?
where I have an assignment every week, and now we have a noodle arm, thing going on where I just put you down a rabbit hole of noodle arm football.
I love it.
This
All
has
right.
just been everything.
We do have to move along. JB.
I love how you're keeping everything in line today, Jake, and I'm just
I'm
siding with John.
trying so
Yeah.
hard.
He's just
I'm telling you, I'm on John's side today, which I'm never, but tonight I'm with John. So I'm making it really hard on you, Jake.
Look, I'm enjoying it as much as you, but I just know there's so much to cover that I'm like, all right, we can talk about this, but we also have to move on eventually. So, JB, NBA, what you got?
Oh, Jamal Murray.
Oh,
Got to start with that.
that
What do
was
you guys? What does that do to Denver? I mean, really?
that makes me
They
sad,
are
man.
done. I'm
That
sorry, but
makes
they're
me sad.
done.
He's a fun player to watch.
Yeah, he's a great young player. Fun to watch. Different team that's doing decent, and that's going to hurt them. Who knows how he's going to recover for next year when he comes back. I mean, it's not the same as it was back in the day. You guys are young, but Bernard King, when he hurt his knee, never was the player he was before. Now guys come back and they're fine.
It's still hard. It's a grueling process to
Yeah.
come back from, and
yeah.
he's like you say, he's a good young player that's on a different team. It's not the Lakers or Nets, and they have a chance to do something when he was healthy, and that's a shame. It's a real shame, and it hurts the league a lot. And I feel bad for the Nuggets.
I mean, they're in the 4th seed in the West. They were 4 games out of.
Well, you could just count them off now. Whoever plays them, easy win now.
I don't know about easy win.
That's your best player. You lose your best player, you're just not doing anything.
Hold
I don't
on.
know about
Excuse
him being
me.
the best player. I think Jokic's their best player.
I was like, did you forget about Joker?
I would say Murray.
Our boy?
I
mean,
would
Murray's
say
a
Murray.
great player, but
Yeah.
no.
Murray
he's not
to
the
me
best.
is a heart and soul.
That's different.
Well, that's your best player when he's your heart and soul.
No, that's not true. The heart and soul
so-
can be
Hang on.
like,
Derek Jeter, heart and soul of the Yankees. Was he the best player?
Yes.
yes.
Not all the time. No, not every year.
He was
No,
the
but
reason
gener-
that they survived in the playoffs all
But
those years. Clutch after
Generally
clutch.
speaking, he was
Except
the
for
best
against the
player.
Diamondbacks.
I think
Why?
a better example would be heart and soul of the Giants for a long time, Eli Manning. Was he the best player? No, absolutely not. There were plenty of seasons he wasn't.
Football.
As a heart,
I know
His heart-
football's different, but I'm just
his
saying.
heart, soul, and no brain.
Wow.
Wow, that was mean.
2 Super Bowls.
Yeah,
Beat an
well, I mean,
undefeated team. How many?
You
How many guys beat undefeated teams in the Super Bowl?
Look, it doesn't mean the guy is very bright. Just
How many
because
guys
he
beat?
beat him.
Okay, stop. Even better one. How many people beat Tom Brady in just his 10 Super Bowls?
Nick Foles did.
Right. How many times did he do it?
1 out of 1.
Okay. And how many times did Eli do it?
Twice.
And how many other
Out of-
losses does Thomas Brady have?
He has 3. He only has 3, right? Yeah, 3. Yep.
Right.
Foles
So
and Manning twice.
so in what division did
It's
both of
only
those
the
teams
NFC
come out of?
East. The NFC
Right.
East is the only division that can beat him. I
Could
don't
beat Tom
get it.
Brady.
I don't get it. Maybe Brady is fat. Hold on. Maybe Brady has cracked the code. Because if he went to the NFC, he can't lose to the NFC East anymore in the Super Bowl. So now he can never lose another Super Bowl. If he gets
Yeah.
to one, he'll never lose again.
That's
Because
exactly
there's
true.
there's no NFC East in the Super Bowl that he could play. He's cracked the code. The
You
only
realize
kryptonite he has. He
it's
cracked the
true
code.
if you think about it. As bad as the Giants won this year, you know, he came to the Meadowlands and he had a tough time. God, that life.
Who did he lose to? Who did he lose to that started for Chicago Bears this year with the 4 down thing? Nick Foles.
That was a regular season game. That's
Yeah,
a regular
but
season game. It don't mean
weird
nothing.
how these NFC East. Who did he have trouble against in the first round? Washington, NFC East team. Taylor Heineke. He did better against the Saints than he did against these Washington.
Poor Jake. Jake's like, what? Why
This
did we do
NFC
that?
East curse that he has on him. It's the only
This is one of
kryptonite
the-
he has.
Dumbest things I think I've ever heard.
I've been thinking about this for years. It's his only weakness. That and his
That is
ACL.
so false.
That is why?
That is
so
his
false.
ACL. His only weakness. Yeah.
I'm
He
not
tore
even
his
getting
ACL before.
I'm not even
Remember he tore his
entertaining this.
ACL.
We're gonna go back to basketball. Back to basketball. JB, back to you with basketball.
All right, so let's go to the Western Conference. So in the West, we got Utah, who's up on Phoenix, 1-2. Got the Clippers in third. Denver, who we're going to say is not going to get one of the top seeds, and then the Lakers in fifth.
Lakers are going to get a bye in week 1 in the first round against
Week
the
one,
Nuggets.
it's not.
They're going to get a bye. The Lakers are going to get lucky and just walk
So-
through the first round against the Nuggets.
So wait, so out of those 4 teams, because any of the 4 could possibly get the 1 seed, I don't foresee the Lakers doing it. They're kind of far back and they've had a lot of injury problems. Davis is finally cleared to return, I think, in a couple of weeks. Who do we think is going to get the 1 seed? Utah, Phoenix, or the Clippers?
I'm sticking with Utah.
I'm going to go
Simple.
Phoenix, man. Phoenix has just been.
My God, dude, I must not be feeling well. I'm going to agree with friggin' John again.
I don't know
Wow.
what it is, man, but they're just. It's like
I don't like
Oh.
this.
This is bad. All right, guys, that's been our show for tonight.
Phoenix is scorching like the sun, man. They are just on fire.
Listen, they were 8-0 in the bubble, and I said that last year. If they can just continue to do what they were doing, they're going to be a tough out. You know, I don't think they win the championship this year, but next year, if they stay on this road, they can make the finals.
I have my opinion on who's going to win the championship, but you know,
If you're going to say the
I
Heat,
think you already know. You already know my opinion. If you want to listen to it, I can give you it.
No, I'm good. I'm John. I have heard so much just nonsense out of your mouth today.
Look,
And most of it, I admit, I've loved. The punchable face thing, hilarious. I loved it. I do not want
this
to
is
hear.
what happens when for 20 minutes I had to stay normal for 20 minutes in a great interview with Jamey Roots. This is what happens. Can't keep it all bottled up inside, and now it's out of control. Even worse than normal.
I wish we could.
Listen, I'm going
There's
to
only
say,
one.
you know, we did go off the rails, but it's been a fun show so far. I'm not upset by it.
It has.
We've done worse where we were serious. So, but yeah, I like Phoenix. I mean, I don't think they'd win the championship this year. To me, them and the Knicks, as I said in the carousel chat earlier today, them and the Knicks are the stories of the year. You know, the Knicks are playing better than anyone expected them to play. You know, and
If you say they're not going to win the championship, who at least wins the West? Because I don't believe in the Clippers because they always find a way to choke. So who wins the West?
I think the Lakers find a way to do it again once they're healthy. I think that's the problem. You got to beat them. It's when you're the best, you got to get beaten. And LeBron doesn't like to lose.
Yeah.
Right. I don't see Utah doing it. Utah finds a way to choke. So get rid of Utah out of that list. The Clippers, another team that always likes to
Yeah.
choke. So that leaves us with who? Phoenix, which they're young. I don't see them doing it this year.
I agree.
This experience will get them next year when they'll have a chance.
And the Lakers
well
will get
as well.
healthy. The Lakers will get healthy by playing the Nuggets, and then by the time a real team plays them in the second round, they'll be healthy. They'll be gelling a little bit more, and then it'll be too late.
This whole
Denver had a
situation.
shot. If
Yep.
Murray stayed healthy, they were the team that could have done it.
Yep, I agree.
This situation reminds me of when Brady and Mahomes faced off for the first time in the championship round. That's what this reminds me of,
Yep.
right? Mahomes is the Suns, young, inexperienced, hasn't gotten his feet wet really with the playoffs and playing against the big dogs in a guy like LeBron, which is Tom Brady in this instance. Same thing. Think that's what we're going to see. I think I'd have to agree with what you both said. I think the Suns will probably make it. LeBron just being LeBron is going to beat them, whether AD's healthy or not, which obviously we assume he will be. But
It's a shame because the Trailblazers are still, there with Dame, but they always have one exciting round. They're like, man, Dame time, and then they get to the second round. It's like, all right, they fizzle out.
it's not the
They fizzle out, yeah. Then you get one Dame
no.
time great round, and then he can't do it all himself, and like I said, fizzle out.
And they've tried different pieces, and it just hasn't worked.
Yeah.
If I was Portland, I would just get rid of them and start over.
Yeah, he's been great for you, but you're right. You're wasting his prime. You're really not doing anything to help him, put pieces around him.
I agree.
I mean, they try different
I feel
ways.
bad.
It's a horrible thing. Who do you think wins the East? John, anybody but Miami, you could say.
Anyway,
it's hard because there's so many different teams that.
All right. If the Nets are healthy, do you think anybody can beat them? In all honesty.
Yeah, I think so. I think the Sixers have an opportunity. The Celtics
Really?
always have an opportunity because the Celtics always have talent and coaching to help them out. There's always something about the Celtics that gives them a puncher's chance. So you have to count the Celtics anytime they're in the playoffs. You always got to count them with a chance. There's a couple teams realistically. If you count Miami, like I said, the Celtics and the Sixers, probably those three have a realistic chance to beat the Nets. I wouldn't say anybody else.
I'm giving you another homework assignment. This is number 2 for the week. But for next week, I want to know how many losses the Nets are going to have in the playoffs, because I'm telling you they're winning the championship right now. Brooklyn's going to have a parade down Atlantic Avenue. That's going to happen. So I want to know how many losses they're going to have in the playoffs.
They don't play defense, man.
Listen, that's fine. I'm asking you the question. I want you to come back with an answer. How many losses they're going to have in the playoffs?
So, all right, I'll give you it next week. I already have it, but
that's next week. We're going to have some topics next week. We got the Punchable Face Hall of Fame, and we got the Nets losses because they're your champions. LeBron has KD, Kyrie, and Harden. It's not happening.
I agree with JB.
Not with Glass Joe playing power forward.
I don't trust the Sixers in the playoffs. The Heat are good, but I just don't know that they're going to be able to last. I'm afraid we're going to see what we saw last season, which was they lose steam as it gets farther in to the playoffs, and more importantly, they're going to have to play a juggernaut. They're going to have to knock out some big teams to get to the finals, and it's going to wear them down.
We forgot about Milwaukee.
Right. Well, that's what I was just about to say. The problem
anytime
is,
you have Giannis, you have a chance.
If the Heat want to win,
last year, they're horrible.
Yeah, but anytime you have Giannis, you have a chance.
Yeah,
you have to give them a chance.
If you could stop Giannis from driving, he's done.
Well, I'm not gonna downgrade Giannis as a player. I mean, it's not fair to him.
It's not downgrading him. That's the weakness in his game. Every player has a weakness in his game. Kyrie can't play defense. Anthony Davis gets hurt if you look at him. Every player has a weakness. You have to find it.
So he's He's related to James Conner.
So everybody has different weaknesses. Giannis cannot shoot from the outside. If he worked on his outside shot all off season, and I'm sure he does. I'm not saying it doesn't work.
I know what you mean.
He needs to improve on that, because once he does that, he'll be a complete player. Probably one of the probably the best in the game at that point if he does.
You just don't have great pieces around him. They have good pieces, but they don't have great pieces around him.
It's a one-man band right now. That's really what
Just like,
that's really what it fizzled down to.
They're the Portland Trailblazers of the East.
I don't know about that either.
Dame has to do everything, and Giannis has to do everything, and it's always like one exciting round, and then second round comes, and bye. That's the mark of both teams.
Okay, so let's. Anything else going on in the NBA that you guys can think of? I mean,
nope.
Only one more thing, which is A-Rod's buying the Timberwolves. I mean, there's not much to talk about there, but
I hate A-Rod.
No, there's not much. Look,
A-Rod.
there's not much to talk about with it. It's just
That's like a curse word.
It's happening.
And he's also the links come with that. He gets WNBA team too. So don't forget about the WNBA.
I mean, I know the team's been terrible for forever, but like, I just don't understand why. Like, what makes you want to go buy an NBA team? Like, as if you're A-Rod, like, aren't you doing like Sunday Night Baseball or something like that? Aren't you on like ESPN?
My problem
like,
with this
I don't
is
get it.
A-Rod has no ties to basketball.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't
get
it.
Makes 0 sense, and I do not foresee him being a good owner.
Right, but you have to be able to make decisions, for the best team.
You just have to hire the right people. An owner, okay, there's very few owners that are.
He's right.
George Steinbrenner or Jerry Jones type owners. Most owners you don't even know about.
You still have to know what you're talking about. You still have to know the game.
You hire a guy like Jamey, then you hire a really good GM, and then you sit back and you collect your money. That's what you do. And they handle everything else for you. That's the joy of being a billionaire or a multimillionaire when you buy a team. Now, you can be like Jerry Jones that wants to have fun and thinks it's monopoly.
Do you think A-Rod's going to sit back?
No.
I don't think so. Because he's all about attention. He's all about the spotlight, all about look at me. And I think that he'll do that. I think that he'll try and make it about himself somehow. Because he always does with everything.
I do wonder why Minnesota had old teams. If you want to buy, I mean.
Maybe that was the cheapest. Maybe that was the easiest buy.
Maybe
they were.
Bring them back to Seattle.
Ooh.
Well, I know he does have his ties to
Seattle.
From what I heard, if the owner, from what I heard, if the owner were to sell the team to A-Rod and the other gentleman, they weren't able to relocate the team. So,
well, there you go.
From what I heard, they're staying,
there goes down that idea.
They were staying in Minnesota.
Things can be broken all the time.
I was so excited by it. I mean,
I missed the Supersonics.
I was just gonna say.
Oh yeah, me too.
Let me pull up their jerseys because this is why I love them.
The jerseys were the best.
They were so pretty.
Payton, Sean
That was the
Kemp.
Hartford Whalers. You want to talk about teams that have the best jerseys that don't exist anymore? The Hartford Whalers.
We just had a Whalers night. My Canes just had a Whalers night a couple of nights ago.
Yeah.
I got a better one for you. Hold on. First, let me show this, but then I got a better one for you.
The Dolphins' old school jerseys are insanely great.
I have a throwback jersey I have two that are my total favorites in hockey. But first of all, I mean, look at this logo. These two specifically. 94 and 01. So pretty. So, I mean, look at this. It doesn't matter who's wearing it, but just look at the jersey. It's so.
I'm not a fan of
I think he just got hurt.
Jersey.
I think he just got hurt.
Awesome.
Oh, that is a great jersey.
You want to talk about the best jerseys, like throwback, old school? I will stand on a hill and die for this jersey and say it is the best, in my opinion, of any sport. It is the Quebec Nordiques.
Nice choice.
Quebec Nordiques. If you do not know this jersey, it is so pretty, in my opinion.
Nice choice.
Look at this. Look at that. I mean,
it's a nice jersey.
I don't even know who the player is that's wearing it. I'll be honest with you.
Is that Joe Sakic?
It could be. I don't know. It very well could be. I mean, look at these jerseys. The logo is gorgeous.
It's
gorgeous. The only other jersey, in my opinion, that's even like remotely good, it would be probably the Hartford Whalers. That's like up there. But
I love the
Nordiques,
Hartford
number
Whalers.
one. Number one.
The Penguins, I think their first Winter Classic game, that
Yeah.
light blue, that was a
Oh
really
yeah,
good
I do
jersey.
like that.
That was good though.
And I hate the Penguins, but that jersey was
me
nice.
Hold on. I gotta ask the important question now. What is the most ugly logo or jersey you've ever seen? I asked this because I have one in
The
mind.
Bumblebee jerseys are pretty bad for the Steelers.
I will
pretty bad.
top. I guarantee I can top anything you throw at me.
Let's not go throwback. Let's go regular season, regular time jersey.
Oh, regular time, probably Cowboys or Colts. There's nothing to them.
They're pretty plain. I don't think they're bad though.
But that's bad to me. Like, there's nothing to it. You got to have something to your jersey, and there's nothing. It's just
Didn't the Diamondbacks used to have like a brown jersey that was kind of ugly?
Yeah.
Or was it?
That's a long time ago.
It was either them or the hockey team in Arizona.
The Coyotes.
They have a good one.
Now they do, but they're old.
Yeah, you're right. The Coyotes did. Yeah, the Coyotes did have
it was
hold on.
weird.
I gotta go back because there's a reason I'm asking it. Worst of all time has got to be the New York Islanders. There have you either of you seen?
As a Rangers fan, you would say that.
Hold on.
Which one?
Have you seen the Fisherman logo jersey?
Please bring it up.
Let me see what you want to talk about.
This is disgusting.
That's kind of cool looking.
That's kind of cool.
Oh,
I like that.
horrible.
I dig that.
This is. I mean,
It
I'm
looks better
sorry.
than the other one.
It looks better than the other one. It doesn't look great on a jersey.
It's
not horrible.
I like that. That's a lot better.
This is just
It's not horrible.
awful. Awful.
It's not horrible.
Oh,
It's
that's
not
so
the
gross.
worst. The Bumblebee Steelers are pretty bad.
Those I would say the
Seahawks-
old Browns jerseys.
The
Those were
Seahawks
just
neon
stupid. They're just,
Seahawks neon green is pretty brutal. They look like a highlighter.
Oh, I got a good one. I got a good one. Hold on.
The old
The Jags.
Padres.
The old St. Louis Cardinals are pretty bad. Those baby blue ones.
Oh,
Those are terrible.
This may be
Look
one
like-
of the worst jerseys.
Makes me think of baby powder.
guys,
This
this is a sports show. We're not a
It
fan.
is sports. We're
This is
talking
a-
about
This is sports.
jerseys. This is sports. This is good stuff.
Can't forget about these.
This is a jam-packed episode.
Oh my God!
Ew.
What
Oh, those
yellow
might be.
mustard?
Yeah.
This is my favorite. Hold on. Whoever made that, I cannot thank you enough.
Okay.
Because
What's
that
up
is
All right.
gorgeous.
That
Yeah,
is
what's
going
up
into the
the
Hall of Fame.
Rockies with the Rocky Mountains on it.
Yeah.
That's pretty ugly.
You know, I liked those. The Todd Helton jerseys.
I don't know. It looks pretty bad.
Like
I don't know how to
back
share my
when Todd
screen.
Helton was
I'm
around
old
and all
school
those
to
guys.
technology stuff. That's why we have Jake.
Oh, these are what you're. I think I know. I got you. Hold on. I think I found what you're talking about.
Yeah,
So
it's got
you're
like
talking-
mountains on there with a big ball.
I don't mind it.
That's
Oh,
horrible.
those are pretty bad. Oh, Larry Walker. That
That's
is Larry
horrible.
Walker. Oh, those
This
are
is-
rough. Whoa. That looks like a
It's-
minor league. That looks like a single A minor league jersey.
Here's the logo itself.
The logo itself wouldn't be bad, maybe on a hat.
But there's
I
nothing
agree.
to it. Like, it's
But on a
pretty
hat,
bland.
it wouldn't look bad.
I agree.
It looks like a
All right.
minor league.
Anything going on in hockey?
One big thing.
The trade
All right,
deadline.
Trade deadline, and I can't go every trade, but I got to talk about. There's just one that I don't like it because we've talked about how much we hate Brad Marchand, right? We all talk about he's got such a punchable
I hate every
face.
Boston Bruin.
Well, speaking of Boston Bruins traded for none other than Taylor Hall, and I was not happy because he has sucked with a capital S in Buffalo. He has been putrid. But granted, all of Buffalo has been putrid.
But
this
hasn't
season.
he been a dumpster fire wherever he's gone, basically, in the
you
NHL?
guys
He
ever-
really hasn't.
No,
Have you guys ever been to Buffalo?
No,
Okay. Buffalo
I
is
wouldn't
kinda like
visit
a
that.
dumpster.
I would never go to Buffalo.
Well, Listen, if you ever want to go to Niagara
Common
Falls, fly to
sense.
Buffalo, and you can, they go to Toronto from there. You don't have to fly international. You can drive.
Ah,
It's not that far. Toronto's got the Hockey Hall of Fame, so Jake may want to go.
Yeah.
true. But Toronto does have the Blue Jays, so that's bad.
Well, actually,
what's
right now the Blue Jays are in Buffalo, I believe. Are
Ew,
they not?
that's worse.
Are they not? I believe they are.
That's worse.
I thought, who knows? I mean,
Nothing
what
good
do
in
with
Buffalo.
the poor country of Canada's not doing very good right now with this whole COVID thing.
There's nothing good in Buffalo, so I wouldn't want to visit.
Wings.
I'm not a wings guy.
You don't like wings?
No, not a big unless it's
Oh.
boneless. I like boneless.
Oh,
You like
John.
nuggets? So you like chicken nuggets? Is that what you're saying?
Hold on. I'm muting him because I don't want to hear this. John, that was a crime to say you only like boneless wings. I don't care that we're a sports show. That is offensive.
I do not like wings. I just don't. I accept boneless, which I'll go to Buffalo Wild Wings. I'll order a kids meal so that way it's cheaper, and then they'll give me the kids meal, and I'll get the same amount of food.
Oh,
All
my
right, guys,
God.
that's it for this week's episode of Sideline Sports because I can't hear this anymore.
We know who's not sponsoring the show next week.
Oh, John,
They get my
Boneless?
money regardless.
boneless? And you get a kids
Boneless,
meal?
man. Try it.
I've
It
tried them. They're offensive.
They're
It's
fantastic.
It's a glorified chicken nugget. And if I want chicken nuggets,
I love
I'll go to
chicken
Chick-fil-A.
nuggets. I love chicken nuggets.
I don't like Chick-fil-A's nuggets. Stop it.
What?
Oh,
Whoa. Mute him. Get him out of here. Throw him out of here. 2
I
minutes.
can't even argue with it. I have to agree with John. That's a mutable offense.
Get out of here.
That's a mutable offense. You don't like
JB's
you
night.
don't like Chick-fil-A chicken
Chick-fil-A
nuggets?
is one of the
What do
greatest
you tell me?
treasures in my entire life.
Hold on.
Everything about
JB,
Chick-fil-A. The people.
I've
The people,
gotta
first
ask.
of all, the people are so nice. There's nothing mean that they ever said in their entire lives.
Hold
They're
on.
like perfect.
I gotta
That's as
ask.
close to perfect as it
This
gets.
is
Chick-fil-A
the most
employee.
important question. And if either of you answer this wrong, I'm gonna lose my mind. Where can you get the best fries? There's only one answer.
Chick-fil-A easily. Waffle fries. All day, every day.
JB?
Chick-fil-A waffle fries.
Curly fries would be Arby's. Regular fries are McDonald's.
Look, I
That's
bought
the
this
only
guy
right
curly
answer.
fries and he
I-
didn't eat them all. So you can't
love-
say curly fries when you didn't eat all your fries when you came over to my house.
John,
You
I
left them
can't-
there and you didn't finish them. So you can't say they're number one. They would be number one if you finished them. But you can't just leave the number
God,
one. No.
That was the night.
You can't leave Aaron Rodgers on the bench and say he's the best. You just can't do that.
John,
Yeah.
you're wrong for saying the waffle fries from Chick-fil-A because they're not regular fries. They don't count in my book. They're a different.
What?
They're a special fry, just like curly
Whoa.
fries
They're still
are
a
different.
fry.
But they're different.
No.
They're not French fries. They're waffle fries.
Yeah,
There's a
but you said
difference.
fry, didn't say fry. There's a difference.
I said the best fries, but
I'm a
that means
foodie.
French fries.
All right, so what's the best
All right,
fry? Please
where-
give me your awful
McDonald's.
opinion.
McDonald's.
Oh,
The best. The best pure French fry is McDonald's.
I think he was asking about burgers, though.
I can't believe I just entertained that. McDonald's. My gosh. If I wanted to play in the sewer, I would go outside, open up the grate, and just dance in the sewer.
Okay, Pennywise, you got it.
Jeez.
All right.
Oh my god.
Man.
If you're
Look,
talking
I'm
about
a
the
foodie.
best any type
I-
of fry from fast food, I agree with you. I would agree with that. But if you're talking about just straight French fry,
All right.
I have to
Since
give it to
we're on this
McDonald's.
topic, who has the best chicken sandwich, JB?
That's Chick-fil-A.
Thank
that's
you.
not even a question. Chick-fil-A.
Well,
But
there
I
are
don't-
people like
that's-
Popeyes.
I don't
People
like
like
their nuggets.
Popeyes.
I just don't like their nuggets.
We all can agree Chick-fil-A has the best sandwich, and I think
Oh, without a doubt.
that's
Oh,
the
of course.
spot to stop, though. You agree on
I've
something,
had-
it's a unanimous vote. That's where we stop.
I've had Popeye's chicken sandwich, and it's not good.
I've never even had
It's
it.
not good. It's not
No, we're
good.
going to, listen, when we're out, we're going to Chili's, guys. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh,
Are stopping.
Oh,
I feel
God.
God in this Chili's tonight.
3 for 10. You
say
cannot
that.
go wrong. Can't go wrong. 3 for 10.
You can't. I love Chili's. I haven't been there forever, but I love Chili's. So
I-
This show
agree.
has devolved into madness, and
I
I
love
am
it.
so
I'm a
happy that it
foodie,
has.
man. If you're gonna talk food, I love food.
We
I'm a
should just
foodie.
have our own separate show, Sideline Sports Food Edition.
There we go.
There you go.
And by the way,
ladies and gentlemen, it is in the works as we speak now.
by the way, I make the best darn steak you're ever gonna find. I'm
All right.
amazing at
This
making
is the last
steak.
question that John, last question. And there is truly only one correct answer. How
Well
do you like
done.
your steak?
Well done.
Oh, you're fired.
I'm removing John. He just said, well done. You want to
I will
eat
make
a
your
hockey
steak
puck?
however
I
you
will
like
buy
it.
you one.
I will make your steak however you like it. I make a great steak. However you like it, I will make it. I'll cook it up. But my steaks are amazing. However you like it, whether it's rare, whatever, I'll make it.
We're not, John, we're
I'm
not going to
amazing
move
at
past
making
this.
steaks.
JB, how do you like your steaks, burgers, whatever?
Well done, all of it.
Steak is rare to medium rare,
Oh,
but got to be
Perfect.
as rare as possible.
Medium
Yeah,
rare is the correct answer. John,
Rare is
you have
pop.
no room to speak. You want to eat straight
I-
hockey pucks.
I just don't like
hockey pucks.
blood in
John,
my food.
John,
Steak you're supposed to eat
John,
rare. Only the
this
surface.
is what you
All right.
want to eat right here.
The
This
bunch
is
of
what you
people
just told
listening.
me.
The bunch of people listening, leave your comments, send us a message. I'm curious what you like. I'm going to get a
John.
lot of hate. I'm sure I will.
The
You wanna
viewership
eat
got
hockey
up when we
pucks.
talked about our steak
John.
thing, guys.
Here you go. Hockey puck. This is for you to eat, buddy. Because that's what a well done steak or burger is like.
All right. How do you guys feel about poutine? Have you ever eaten
It's great.
poutine?
It's delicious.
Ah,
Can't go wrong with it.
it's one of the best
delicious.
foods I've ever eaten. I was
Delicious.
introduced in Rochester, New York to it.
Delicious.
Never heard of it. And I was in love. Fell in love with
Delicious.
It's one of the
Delicious.
best foods I've ever
Absolutely.
eaten.
All right. I think the show we have to call it quits, sadly,
Yep.
because this has
Okay,
gotten.
cool.
We don't have time.
Hey, they'll get more of us next week. Our fans will get more of us next week. We have a lot of good stuff. We give them a lot of jam-packed stuff.
This may
crammed
have to
into the
be
year.
a whole new show just for the three of us talking just food, just straight food debates.
I love food.
I think that might have to be a thing we do.
Wouldn't
in all
know it by
seriousness.
my figure, but I absolutely love food.
I
think we might have
think
to.
we should do it.
I think we might have to.
All for
So,
it.
all right. Look, let's just shout out where we can find each other and then call it a day because this is one of the weirdest but best
One of the
episodes
best
we've ever
shows
done.
we've ever done. Yeah.
John, start us off. You
Yeah, you
hockey
can find
puck
me,
maniac.
NBA Carousel, NFL Carousel, here on Sideline Sports. Credentialed by the NFL, so you'll see me whenever it's baseball season in Chicago. JB, you ready for a game at Wrigley? I've never been to Wrigley, by the way.
I'd
Never
love
got
to.
the
You've never
opportunity.
been to Wrigley.
I've only been to the greatest ballpark in the MLB, and that is
All right. hang on,
Camden
we're not
Yards.
gonna do the show just yet.
I was just trying to pause him or mute him so he wouldn't say Camden Yards because that was offensive.
It's the most beautiful ballpark in
No.
all of baseball. Have you been there?
No.
JB's
No.
been there.
Actually, yes, I have.
Okay. There's Fenway, there's Dodger Stadium, and there's Wrigley. Those are the three
Agreed.
greatest stadiums in baseball right now.
I
There used to
agree.
be Yankee Stadium.
I was going
Yeah,
to say Yankee Stadium used to be one of them.
Now we have Petco East. But understand, those are the three best stadiums. The newer
agree.
stadiums are pretty, but they're not the same.
That's
Camden Yards is the start of the newer stadiums. It's gorgeous.
that's like
Oh,
trying
it
to
is,
say
yeah.
that the Rams' new stadium is as good or better than Lambeau. It's just not. Just because it's new and pretty doesn't make it the best. Lambeau will forever be one of the best because of the history there.
Exactly. John,
I,
invest a couple of $100, fly out to Chicago, go see a game, drive up to Boston on a Saturday, go see a game there, and hopefully get out
then you'll
west.
understand.
See,
And
the
then you'll
thing is,
understand.
I would never go to Boston, so I can't go and see Fenway Park. I just can't go to Boston.
John, you
I
have to
can't
go.
find myself in Boston. I can't.
What is the Boston mob coming after you, John?
I
Drive
can't
to
find myself in Toronto. Can't find myself in Boston. Can't do it.
You
He
have-
also eats hockey pucks.
Anyway, you can find me at NBA Carousel, NFL Carousel, Bluehawks 13 on Twitter. And on the NBA Carousel, I cover the best team in the NBA, the Miami Heat. Cover the Baltimore Ravens on the NFL Carousel. And that's where you can find me.
JB?
JB _ the program on Twitter. The program, which is in hiatus right now. Wrigley Field, right now, the best stadium in America. Hopefully get to go out there and see a couple of games this year. People in Chicago are pretty great. But Dodger Stadium's also pretty good in Boston. As much as I hate them, I'd love to go see it. I would go there, any of those three stadiums before Yankee Stadium.
I agree.
But, make sure you follow the program. NBA Carousel on Mondays, hosted by Megan Price. Definitely watch that for all the latest NBA news. You see Alex Fleming from Orlando at the games covering it. Pretty exciting. Not many shows have that going on. And, of course, the NFL Carousel in season. So make sure you're following all that. And, Jake, what about you?
Find me on Twitter at Jake_Malik. And more importantly, you can find Sideline Sports wherever you find whatever social media you use. Instagram and Twitter, we're Sideline Sport 1. YouTube, where all our videos always end up, which is Sideline Sports. Same thing as our Facebook group. You can always go to there. And, of course, in the Facebook group, you can always come talk to us. Maybe we'll respond to you. Never know. Never know what's going on there. And more importantly, just going to say it. Be on the lookout. We might do a food podcast. Who knows? Who knows? It seems like that's going to have to be a thing.
To do it. Whoever Hagyat is wants us to do the food podcast.
I think we might have to. I think we might. This is my motivation now. Every day I'm going to think Hagyat wants me to do a food podcast. I'm going to have to do it. But I think that's it for us, guys. If anybody's seen us devolve in the madness, I'm sorry. But at the same time, thank you for watching because that was a lot of fun.
It was.
So we will see you guys next week. Everybody, have a good one.
Eat your steaks well done.
Don't do it.